Hey you guys, it's mzosofabolousTV. So for today's video, I wanted to actually do a sit down and talk video. So for today's video, I wanted to explain makeup brushes. So I have a best friend who is just newly getting into makeup. She's starting to become a junkie just like I was in the beginning of my makeup journey. And she has a lot of questions about the different makeup brushes that there are and what brushes used for this and what brushes used for that. And when we went to IMAX and we actually went to Crown Royal brushes, she's seen all the different brushes and kind of got overwhelmed because she didn't know what all of these brushes were for and what is the proper brush to use for this and what is the proper brush to use for that. And she kept saying like there wasn't enough videos on YouTube explaining the different makeup brushes, what they do, what's good, and what's good for beginners. So I want to talk about staple makeup brushes that I feel like every beginner who is just getting into makeup should have. So we're going to start off with eye brushes. So the first eye brush that you should have is an eyeshadow brush. Now an eyeshadow brush is the brush that you are going to use to help you pack down the colors on your lid. This is my eyeshadow brush right here. This is a MAC 224 or a 215. The number is rubbed off of it, or 219. You guys know what kind of brush this is. So this is just a flat eyeshadow brush like this. So this is the eyeshadow brush that I use to actually pack down the color on my lid. This is going to be the brush that you use to get a lot of color payoff. So the more dense and flat and compact the brush is, the more pigment you're gonna get. The more fluffier and loose the brush hair, the more sheerer of a coverage the eyeshadow is going to deposit. So this is one eyeshadow brush, but I like to tell people that eyeshadow brushes come in many different shapes and forms. So this is just like the standard eyeshadow brush, but you can also get an eyeshadow brush that looks like this. And as you guys can see, this one is much wider and bigger than the first one I showed you. So depending on your eye shape and how big your eye is, you'll be able to determine how big of an eyeshadow brush that you'll need. And then they also come like this. Now this is a chunky eyeshadow brush as well. So I just like to show you guys they come in different shapes. So this one is from MAC, this one is from Crown Royal, and this one is a Morphe brush. And this is a Morphe M333. All right? So definitely recommend, that's first and foremost. The second most important brush, and I feel like this might be number one most important brush that you need to have because it is the key to makeup, is a blending brush. You are not able to do a flawless makeup application without blending. Blending is key when it comes to makeup. So this is a blending brush right here. It's a really fluffy brush. Always looks like kind of like a dome shape. As you can see, in comparison to the flat eyeshadow brush, the hairs are much more spread apart, so it's going to pick up less pigment in the shadows when blending out your eyeshadows. So as you can see, it's really fluffy, where this one is more dense and compact. So it's just really fluffy, and this is the brush that you're going to use to blend out your crease color. You're going to use this brush to deposit your crease color, blend all the shadows together, blend out that outer V color. This is going to be the brush to help you make the shadows much softer and smokier and more diffused. So this is that brush right here. This brush is key. Like, you can't get away with doing makeup without a blending brush. So once again, showing you the different blending brushes. It's going to look like this. This is another one from MAC. This is a MAC 224. And as you can see, they're both fluffy, but this one from Sigma is much fluffier than the MAC 224. This is a blending brush from Morphe. And as you can see, once again, still a nice fluffy blending brush. But just showing you the different styles of blending brushes that they have, okay? Now, this one from MAC, because it is a little bit more domed shape, you can use this as a crease brush as well, which I use. I actually use the MAC 224 today to help, the Sigma E40 to help blend out my crease color. And then I use the MAC 224 to actually deposit the color in my outer V. Because it is more dome shape, it allows me precise precision of the color, and then because it is fluffy, it allows me to help blend that color out afterwards. So these are what the blending brushes look like. Now, as a beginner, When I give different tutorials and stuff at Sephora teaching women different everyday eye looks, I would say the next most, it is important and it isn't important depending on your style of makeup. If you are that girl that likes to do a smoky eye, you really like just really bold colors, I would say the next important brush that you should have is a pencil brush. Now this is what a pencil brush looks like. These are two different pencil brushes. This one is from Sigma and this one is from Morphe's. And this one is more of the Morphe brush is more of a chunky pencil brush, and then this one is more of a tapered, pointy pencil brush. And I apologize, my brushes are dirty because I used them today. So what a pencil brush is used for many different things. Today I use the pencil brush to apply color right here in my inner tear ducts because it is small enough and precise enough to fit under here. I also use this brush to actually smoke out the shadow on my bottom lash line. And you can also use this color to actually deposit color in your outer V. So if you want, or to do a cut crease, if you're looking for like a really nice sharp line in that crease area, you use a pencil brush to draw out the shape that you want, and then you would go in with your fluffy brush and blend it out to diffuse the line. So this is really great as well to use for a crease brush and depositing color right in your outer V area, right in here. So I feel like pencil brushes are definitely staple for a more dramatic and bold look. Now for beginners, the next step I would say, if you are a beginner and everybody is into eyebrows, but if you're into brow sculpting, I definitely recommend that you have a synthetic brush. Now these are the 3 different synthetic brushes that I have, and when I mean synthetic, a brush that can be used for cream or powder. So these are the brush hairs right here. So this one right here is from Sephora. This is the Sephora Flat Pro Concealer. This one I believe came from Coastal Scents years ago in a 24 set that I got, and then this one as well came from the same Coastal Scents set. So what I would use these for, these are great to be used for many different things. So I use this one to actually sculpt my brows when I'm cleaning them up. This is a great brush for that, but it is a pro flat concealer brush, so all of these brushes can be used, like this really fat chunky one can be used to place concealer underneath your eyes and down the bridge of your nose and be blended out with. Also, the great thing about these synthetic brushes as well, because they can use for cream or liquid products or powder products, the great thing with these, I actually use this one for glitters and pigments. Anything that I have to use with a wet base first, I'll use a synthetic brush. And the reason why I would use a synthetic brush over like a goat-haired brush is because the synthetic brush is meant so that it can be used wet and it's not going to ruin the brush hairs. So I love using this one for glitters and pigments, and I use this to apply the pigment that I have on my eyes today. It is just a really nice compact brush so that the glitter particles aren't going to get stuck in between the hairs like it would a soft goat hair brush. So yeah, definitely would recommend that for, definitely would recommend a synthetic brush for, you know, cleaning up your eyebrows, also applying, you know, concealer on your face, and also using for glitter and pigments. So definitely, and cream eyeshadows as well, I would definitely recommend. And also these are really great for blending out your base. So if you use a matte Painterly Paint Pot or a NYX Jumbo pencil for a base, these are really great to help blend the product out to be used to put down for your eyeshadow. So these are awesome as well. And then the last eye brush that I would say all beginners should have would be an angled brush. Now the reason why I'm just going to call it an angled brush, because this angled brush can be used for many different things. Now this one I got years ago at Crown Royal Brush, and this one is also a Crown Royal brush as well. So these are two different brushes, as you guys can see. This one is more goat hair and this is a synthetic angled brush. Now this one I use for my eyebrows. The angled brush comes in many different shapes and sizes depending on the width. So I use a thicker angled brow brush to fill in my eyebrows when I'm using the Anastasia Dip Brow, or if I'm using brow powders. Angled brush is great for that as well. Now the synthetic angled brush is good for eyeliner, applying any kind of cream or liquid or gel eyeliner. I would definitely recommend. So definitely an angled brush for eyebrows if you're not one of those people that uses brow pencil. If you use an eyebrow pencil to fill in your brows, then you won't need this, but I definitely would recommend it if you are, you know, using the Anastasia Dip Brow and you're also using gel or cream eyeliner to apply your eyeliner. So those are the 4 staple eyeshadow brushes for beginners that I feel like all beginners should have, and I hope by showing you the different styles of them would make it easier for you when it comes to purchase, because a lot of people go off of what the person tells them and then are like, oh well, how is that an eyeshadow brush? It didn't look like her. So I like to show you the different variations of what they're gonna look like when you get to the store. So now we're gonna move on to face brushes, and I think I only have 2 face brushes to share with you guys, but I did want to explain a couple things as well. So the first and foremost face brush that I feel like everybody should have is a foundation brush. Now a foundation brush, depending on, you know, how you want it to look and appear on your face, they will come in many different shapes and sizes. So in the beginning of our YouTube journey, everybody was Google Gaga over the dual fiber brush. And this is what a dual fiber brush is. And what a dual fiber brush is, it's 2 hairs. So it's always going to be white on top and dark on the bottom. And these are meant to be a stippling brush. So basically what you would use for these brushes, you would dip into your liquid foundation and you would stipple this on your face and then buff it out for a flawless airbrush application. So these are what they look like. This is a flat top stippling brush and this is a domed shape stippling brush. This is a Sigma F50 foundation brush and this is a Morphe M462 domed stippling brush. So depending on your preference, like, you definitely have to play around with the different brushes to see what you're gonna like. I like more of a flat top foundation brush when I'm applying my foundation. Now there are many different styles of dual fiber brushes. So these are like the standard dual fiber brush, but I also wanted to introduce you guys to these kinds of dual fiber brushes. Now they're the same in the aspect where it's lighter, the hairs on top are lighter, and it's darker on the bottom. So this is a Real Techniques brush, and this is a Real Techniques buffing brush, and this is a Sigma round top kabuki brush. Now the difference between both, the great thing about the dual fiber brushes that I wanted to mention as well, is that these can be used with liquid and powder. Now the thing with these dual fiber brushes, these give a flawless application, nice airbrush finish for liquid products, but when you use a dual fiber brush like this on powder, it gives a more sheer wash, so you're not getting such full coverage with your powders like you would using this kind of brush. So these 2 brushes that I wanted to mention, like I said, this is a Real Techniques brush and this is a Sigma F82 brush. So these are really good for a more fuller coverage. So these are more, once again, like I said, the more fluffier the brush, the more sheer of a coverage you're gonna get, and the more dense and compact the brush, the more full coverage and more color payoff you're gonna get. So I love using these brushes as well for foundation, especially my liquid foundation, and just, you know, I just apply this all over my face, just the same motion like I would with my dual fiber brush. Just dab this on the face and really buff it out in circular motions. Absolutely love these kind of brushes, and once again, like I said, these can be used with liquid and powder. Now the thing about these dual fiber brushes, when you use this with powder, you're going to get more of a full coverage rather than the stippling dual fiber brushes. That's going to give you more sheer wash with your powders. So it's all up to you. It's all up to your level of makeup and the amount of makeup that you wear, which will help you determine what foundation brush you should use. Now another thing that I wanted to mention as well, I was talking to my friend on FaceTime and I seen her applying liquid foundation with a brush like this. That is a no-no. Now when you have a dark hair brush like this, typically this is not meant for cream or liquid products. This is meant for powder products only. Now, the only time you will use a cream or liquid product on your brushes is, once again, if they're dual fiber, they're a lighter hair, but typically a black haired brush like this is not meant to be used with cream products. Now, if it works for you, to each his own, but it does ruin the hair in the brush when you use cream products, and when it comes time to wash it out, it's not going to be as fluffy and as soft anymore if you use cream products with this. So I did want to mention that. Now, the next brush, and this will be the last face brush, is an angled blush brush. And the reason why I'm calling it an angled blush brush is because that's what it's going to be called on most of the handles. It's just going to look like this. It's once again a fluffy brush, but it's at an angle. Now, once again, this blush brush could come in many different shapes and sizes and colors. So I have a black one here as well. So it doesn't matter if it's black or white, it's just your preference. Now, the great thing about the blush brush, and this is probably like the only brush that you're going to need outside of your foundation brush for your face, is because you can use this for multiple different things. This can be your blush brush, which I use this for to apply the blush on the apples of your cheeks. This can be used as your contour brush. You turn it sideways and apply this right here in the hollows of your cheekbones, and right here, because it's at an angle, it makes it much easier for to use. So you can use it right here in the temples of your forehead, right in here. You can also turn it to the tip right here and blend out your contour on your nose. You can also use the tip, which I do, to apply highlight to the apples, to the highest point of your cheekbones. So this is an awesome brush because it can be used for multiple different things. So basically, this is like a 3-in-1, your blush, your contour, and highlight brush. So this is why I recommend all beginners to start off with an angled blush brush, because you can use this for everything. Now, those are all of the brushes those would happen to be, what are those? That is my top 6 brushes for beginners. Now, I also want to talk about the Beauty Blender. Now, the Beauty Blender is an awesome brush. This is an awesome tool. This is a sponge. Everybody and their mama knows what a beauty blender is, but if you don't know what a beauty blender, this is a beauty blender. It is going to come in an egg shape. Now, many different brands have came out with their own version, so they look, you know, different shape. This is meant to give you an airbrush and flawless finish. Now, what I've noticed with working at Sephora, a lot of women do not realize that this product is meant to be used wet. A lot of girls come back and they're returning, they're like, I don't know why everybody raves about this thing because it doesn't work, it's okay. And I'm like, well, are you using it wet? And then they have this stunned look on their face like, I didn't know it was supposed to be wet. This brush is meant, we're just going to call it a brush for lack of better words. This sponge is meant to be used wet. Now, when you use it wet, it gets double the size. Okay, so this is a beauty blender that I use today. They come in many different colors, whatever color you want. Now, this sponge is really great for people if you're just starting out and you really don't have the funds to purchase all of the face brushes. You can use this. Now, I use the butt of the sponge to apply my foundation. So once you use it wet, it's going to get bigger. I dip the butt of the sponge into my foundation on the back of my hand, and then you would use this and you would bounce it off your face. You're not meant to sweep. This is not meant to sweep at all. You're just bouncing this on your face all over. Then what I do is take my concealer and I use the tip of the beauty blender to get right underneath my eyes and apply my concealer. And I also use this for the bridge of my nose, right here on the center of my forehead, my cupid's bow, and my chin. Also, the great thing about this is if you use a cream contour, like myself, I use the Black Opal foundation stick. I use the whole side of the sponge to blend my contour out. Once again, still always doing a bouncing motion. I blend it up towards my temples and on my forehead. And then I also like to pinch this sponge and use this for the bridge of my nose. Also, this is used great as well for cream blush as well. So once again, you can use the butt of the sponge and apply your blush to the apples of your cheeks. And the Beauty Blender is just so awesome. It is going to change your world. If you've never used a Beauty Blender, try this out. This is going to change your world, and it's going to make a huge difference to your face when applying your makeup. It's going to give such a different finish that you've never had before. So I definitely recommend this, so you don't have to buy so many face brushes. You have all that in one, and you can just invest your money on the eye brushes, because good eye brushes are key when it comes to a great makeup application. You don't want to use cheap brushes. Now, they have very affordable, inexpensive brushes that are great quality. I highly recommend that you try Crown Royal brushes. Morphe brushes are phenomenal. Of course, we all know about Sigma. I mean, if you want to spend the money and get you some MAC brushes, you can as well. So I definitely recommend that you just invest in your eye brushes, and then start with the Beauty Blender. And then as you work your makeup skills up and you get a little bit more comfortable with your makeup, then you can start dibbling and dabbling into your face brushes. Now, before I go, I did want to mention other contour brushes. That was the main thing when we went to IMATS. My best friend was so confused about the different contour brushes. She was like, but I thought you said this is for contour, and this is for contour too, but this one says this is for contour. So like I said, you can use an angled blush brush to contour. I would use an angled blush brush for using powder contour, so you can just really blend that out and blend out your bronzer in the hollows of your cheeks. So I definitely recommend this, but they also have two other styles of contour brushes. Now, the first one that I started using is this one, and this is a MAC 130 or 180. This is a I'm so off with my MAC brush. It's not even funny. This is a 165 brush. So this is a tapered, fluffy brush, and this also can be used to set your concealer underneath your eyes for your powder. This is what I started using it for to set the concealer underneath my eyes, because it just fits so well. But this also can be used for a contour brush. If you suck in the hollows of your cheek, this fits so perfectly in here, just to really buff out your contour and blend it up here. So contour brushes are going to look nice and tapered like this. You can also use the pointy part of the brush to contour the bridge of your nose. So this is an excellent brush. Now, the huge brush that really came out last year and everybody was going crazy and wants to get their hands on is a flat top contour brush. Now, this one is from Morphe, and I actually use this with my cream contour. And this is, since this is more of a dense brush, like I said, the more fluffier the brush, the more softer the application is going to be. The more dense the brush, the more color payoff you're going to get. Now, when I want a really chiseled out contour, I'll use this, and I just really get in there and just do that really strong line. But when I use my flat top, I actually turn it sideways rather than this way. I turn it sideways so that it really blends out and disperses the product. And then I work my way towards my temples and bring it down. So I just wanted to show you there are different contour brushes as well, because I know, you know, when you get to the makeup stores and you're looking at the different brushes, you're like, oh my god, but there's so many and I don't know which one to choose. So just stick with those, but I did want to tell you guys about the different contour brushes as well, because contouring is huge nowadays and everybody and their mama wants to contour. So I did want to give you your options for contouring as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful. Melissa, you can get off my back now. I finally filmed this tutorial. She has been bugging me ever since we got back from IMATS in January about making this motherfucking video. So there you guys have it. If you guys have any questions, please leave it down in the comment section below. And as always, you guys, remember to always rate, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/mzosofabolousTV. Facebook, facebook.com/mzosofabulous. Remember, you guys have a nice, wonderful day. Bye.